A lazy swordsman turns a deadly manual into the martial world's worst business deal. Spoilers ahead. This is a Korean manhwa recap about Wi Yeonho, a man who treats effort like a disease, but somehow keeps getting pushed toward the center of the martial world. He does not chase fame. He does not beg for duels. He would rather sleep, eat, and let tomorrow carry whatever disaster shows up today. But the problem is, the martial world does not care how lazy he is. Spirits demand proof. Sword challengers demand answers. Demonic killers test him in the dark. And then a contested secret manual turns every proud martial artist around him into a walking pile of greed. Okay, watch how Yeonho survives by doing the one thing nobody expects, less. Yeonho starts in a dark blue space, lying down like the entire martial world is someone else's appointment. A voice presses him to listen, but his mind goes straight to avoidance. He does not understand why any of this concerns him, and his first solution is beautifully lazy. Simply refuse every challenge. That escape lasts about 2 seconds. A blue spectral elder erupts, calling his name with enough force to shake him out of denial, and purple ghostly energy scares him into agreeing. The demand is not complicated. If people challenge the spirit's swordsmanship and Yeonho's place in it, he cannot just hide behind laziness. Outside, on a forest path, a pink-robed radiant sword challenger steps forward and declares his sword the only valid one. Now Yeonho's nap has become a matter of dignity. The pressure shifts to a young female martial artist with sharp pride and even sharper ambition. She admits another swordsman's scale is far beyond the others, but she still believes she can surpass him someday. That is not empty boasting. It is the kind of mindset martial people respect, and for a second the mood almost stays civil. Then Yeonho laughs. Not loudly, not dramatically, but dismissively enough that everyone feels it. The woman catches the insult and confronts him, and nearby martial artists tense because nobody knows whether this lazy-looking man is foolish, rude, or hiding something. Around the wagon and meal table, names and reputations start stacking up. Divine strategist Jo Hyun, martial phoenix, Ten Hands Dragon, Demon Holy Sword, and other prominent figures. Meanwhile, Yeonho sleeps through the tension until he wakes and interrupts everyone with something to say. Then the story cuts through all the martial posturing with something much softer. A young woman runs to Yeonho, embraces him, and says she is relieved he truly is her brother. Yeonho is dazed and cannot place her immediately, which hurts more because she reminds him that 5 years have passed. She recognizes him by scent, and that tiny detail makes the reunion feel painfully personal. She looks at his current state and asks what he has been doing all this time. Yeonho answers in the most ridiculous way possible. He says he met a ghost. Instead of turning that into a grand heroic confession, he suggests they go inside because the story is long. At the meal table, she scolds him for becoming too skinny and tries to feed him, while Yeonho argues that he was always skinny and would rather get protein than be force-fed. The warmth does not last. Somewhere else, a martial artist is overwhelmed so fast that another person barely has time to shout for him to dodge. One moment there is movement, the next a man is face down while the people around him react in horror. At night, elders or strategists gather around a table and discuss a route tied to Mount Hwa and a treasury map. Something has fallen into the hands of pursuers, and people are gathering where the map points. One elder compares unchecked forces to weeds and decides the plan will continue anyway. That is the important turn. This is no longer a random duel problem. The road itself is becoming bait. Then Yeonho is told to get off the carriage because a patient should be able to walk, and he awkwardly steps out while the danger around the journey tightens. Night closes in, and Yeonho faces Gong Cheol and Biob Hang, the Ghost Blade Demon duo. They test him with the kind of pressure that should expose weakness, but instead they become confused. Something about his body or talent does not match what they expect. Yeonho does not even pretend to care. He says knowing whether he changed means nothing if he cannot understand or use it, and then his blood stirs. This is where it gets brutal. One of the demons realizes Yeonho is not treating them like terrifying enemies. He is using them as stress relief. The ghost demon unleashes Green Demon Serpent Strike, forming a massive green serpent of demonic force. Yeonho answers with blue sword energy, cuts straight through it, and moves in so fast the old killer's confidence collapses into a scream. After that confrontation, Yeonho and his companions keep moving, but the road feels loaded now. Yeonho appears relaxed, which is almost insulting considering everyone else understands how dangerous the trip has become. A dark-haired young woman near the carriage questions the pace and the distance still left ahead. Someone asks whether they should move faster, and suddenly the carriage or horses surge forward like caution just got thrown away. Meanwhile, another group discusses a valuable map, book, or manual-like object and whether the current road is safe. The details are not fully clear, but the meaning is, powerful people are converging because the object is worth chasing. A small young person appears with the contested item and is confronted by rough men. The treasure is no longer hidden. It is moving through hungry hands. The next stretch keeps the focus on Yeonho's strange reputation. He moves through an atmosphere where martial factions, unnamed leaders, and watchful fighters all seem to question what he really is. Some people cannot understand how he stays so nonchalant when the situation is dangerous. That reaction matters, because Yeonho's whole mask works by looking harmless until people have already stepped too close. He studies the pressure around him, handles a smaller dispute with wit rather than force, and keeps his lazy persona intact while others doubt his actual level. There is also a cryptic warning that the secret of the master is not what it appears to be, along with attention turning toward the northern border. The evidence is hazy, but the feeling is clear. Yeonho is being pulled into politics bigger than a single fight. Now the contested secret manual takes center stage. Yeonho stands with it while gathered martial artists tense around him, and instead of treating the manual like sacred destiny, he treats it like something with a price tag. Someone brings up payment. A lower amount seems to have been mentioned before, but Yeonho pushes the price far higher because everyone wants the same thing. That is the wicked little turn. He is not asking whether he personally needs the manual. He is asking what desperate people will pay for it. The crowd begins moving, armed people rush in, and the open area erupts into fighting while others watch the chaos spread. But Yeonho has already found the real battlefield. It is not sword against sword. It is demand against pride, and the manual is making everyone expose themselves. Yeonho makes the idea even more shameless. When an elder warns that making the secret manual public could shake the entire martial world, Yeonho does not look frightened. He laughs because, to him, that sounds like a fantastic business opportunity. The elder understands the horror of it. Yeonho is planning to keep selling access instead of hiding the manual. But here is the catch. Yeonho does not want to personally manage the disaster he created. He thanks the elder for worrying, says he will handle his own problem, and passes the burden somewhere else. That somewhere else is Muzin, a Shaolin monk. Muzin is shocked when Yeonho tells him to stay behind, and you can see why. Yeonho has just turned Shaolin's reputation into the customer service counter for martial world greed. The crowd proves Yeonho right almost immediately. They want the secret manual, but they do not want to pay. They do not want debt. They do not want interest. They want power without cost, and Yeonho calmly frames the trap for them. If they refuse payment and refuse the debt arrangement, then what is left except theft? The martial artists explode in anger, furious at being called thieves, but their outrage only makes the accusation sharper. Yeonho tells them to choose between following the arrangement or following him. A companion worries they cannot beat so many people, but Yeonho already has the next move. Reach Luoyang and cut the crowd off at the city gate. The group flees by carriage or mounted transport. Torches chase behind them, and the royal secret inspector's arrival freezes the chaos before the legal fallout lands. What makes this arc so fun is that Yeonho keeps winning sideways. He is not the noble warrior begging for a righteous duel, and he is not the ruthless schemer trying to rule the martial world. He is lazier than both, and somehow that makes him harder to predict. Against challengers, he treats pride as a chore. Against demonic killers, he turns fear into stress relief. Against greedy martial artists, he does not need to defeat everyone physically. He just makes their desire visible, prices it, and lets them fight their own hypocrisy. The secret manual is perfect because it reveals the lie under all the martial dignity. Everyone claims principle until access, debt, and money appear. Now the problem has reached officials, Shaolin, Luoyang, and a torch-bearing crowd, which means Yeonho's easy solution has become a public crisis. Subscribe for the next manhwa recap, because Yeonho's laziest business plan just dragged the whole martial world into court-level trouble.